Here's 5 ways the X-T4 beats the X-T5 in 2024. What's up, everyone? Thanks for joining me. My name is Pete. I am a portrait photographer with a studio in New York, and I do videos on Fuji cameras, portrait photography, all kinds of stuff. So if you're not subscribed, check out my channel. I would appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. If you like what you see, go ahead and gently press that like button, as there's no need to smash it. And don't forget to comment. Let me know what you think about this video or any of my other many videos. So I've been thinking a lot about the X-T4 because I have one, and I upgraded to the X-T5 about a year ago, and it has kind of sat dormant more or less since then. But I recently picked it up and started shooting with it, and I was reminded that this is such a great camera, and I think that it's one of the most underrated Fuji cameras in general terms. It's like X-T3, and then we went right to the X-T5. The X-T4 is sort of the redheaded stepchild of the Fuji lineup in a lot of ways. I don't think that's fair because it is a great camera. So let's talk about 5 ways that I think it's actually better than the X-T5. If you're looking to buy a Fuji camera, when you're looking at these two, hopefully it'll give you some food for thought. So here's my 5 ways the 4 beats the 5 in no particular order. Number 1, build quality. Now, when the 5 came out, a lot of people had a lot of issues with the build quality. It's certainly a smaller camera, which is nice, but it's much lighter, and it doesn't feel as nice when it comes to just the overall build. It feels a little bit more cheap and plasticky. So people freaked out about that, and I think rightfully so to some degree. However, the 4 is a much more robust camera. It's a little larger. It's got a little bit deeper grip. It's made better for sure. So now, for me personally, the place where I notice this the most is in the top plate dials, specifically the exposure compensation dial. I came from an X Pro 1, and one of the frustrations with that camera was that the exposure compensation dial would just constantly move on its own. So when I upgraded to the 4 a number of years ago, I was very impressed with the fact that I didn't have to tape my exposure compensation dial because it was much smaller and really machined to the point where you need a little bit of energy to change the setting. So I've never had the exposure compensation dial, or for that matter, the drive mode dial on the other side of the camera that's underneath the ISO wheel. I've never had either one of those move on their own. Upgraded to the 5, and then that's been something that happens again, which I don't like. The thing that annoys me more than the exposure compensation dial is the drive mode dial. If I'm shooting in single, sometimes it'll just wind up in HDR on its own. Or if I'm shooting in continuous, sometimes it'll shift to bracketing on its own just by walking around with the camera. So in that regard, build quality, the 4 certainly beats the 5. Now, just to balance it out, I'll remind you that I've had no issues with my X-T5 regarding the build quality as far as the camera not working right. So the camera has performed flawlessly, which I'm thankful for. The only thing I've noticed, and I noticed early on, is that the body will scratch much easier than the 4. I think this is also partially due to the fact that it's silver instead of black. But in either case, definitely not the same exacting build quality standards of the 4. Number 4 on our list, image quality. Now hear me out. Yes, I know that this is a 40 megapixel sensor and this is a 26 megapixel sensor. So you're getting better image quality on paper, quote unquote, better image quality. But here's the thing. First of all, 99% of the people watching this video do not need a 40 megapixel sensor. That's just a fact. And I think that those of you who are watching this and know you need and have a 40 megapixel sensor already know why you need it. So what I mean for that is the higher resolution really helps in specific applications. For instance, doing a lot of cropping, right? So if you're gonna crop a lot, then the 40 megapixels makes a huge difference for that. For instance, if you're shooting sports and you have a limit on your telephoto lens and you want to get a little bit closer, yeah, I've done that, and it really holds up well. So there's that. For me, as a photographer who does commercial work and portrait work, I do like the higher resolution for editing, and I like it for clients who I know they're gonna print a billboard or something. It's nice to have that. But the reality is, this 26 megapixel sensor is more than most people need. So you're going to be happy with the image quality. You're going to be very happy with it. For instance, I took this camera out recently to do a portrait shoot. And I don't remember why I used it. I think I just wanted to use the 4. I was just in the mood to use it. So my 5 was on the shelf. I used the 4, and the portraits came out beautiful, and they look great. And for the client, he's not going to blow these up to any kind of huge size, and they will hold up even if he wanted to do a 20 by 30 or a 24 by 36. They're going to look great at that size, so there's nothing to worry about. So in that way, image quality of the 4 it kind of beats the 5. Here's another way. Less file storage space. So the smaller file sizes are easier to work with, and they don't take up as much room as your hard drive, and that is a consideration. Number 3, a grip. Now, when the 5 came out, people were not happy that Fuji decided not to make a grip for it. And at the time, I kind of was indifferent towards it. So I basically said, I don't think it's that big a deal. But then over time, I changed my mind. And there's really one reason why. Well, there's a couple of reasons why. But the main reason for me is this. So I use this 50 millimeter. It's not quite as big as you think because it has a hood on it, but this is my favorite lens right now from Fuji. This is the 50 millimeter f1. It's so fun. I just love using it, but as you can probably see, it's pretty big. Here, wait, can we see it? Boom, there it is. It's a big lens, let's be honest, and it's heavy. And so that means that it's a little unwieldy on the smaller camera body. So having a grip for that reason, for me, really makes a difference, because when I put that lens on this camera with this grip, I feel like it just makes a much more comfortable all-around experience, and especially if you're shooting vertically, so it's nice to have that grip. Obviously, the grip also is nice to have when it comes to shooting sports, when it comes to shooting nature. If you're doing that kind of photography, having a grip is, of course, a great idea. So I think that Fuji really should have had a grip for this camera. You can't get one. You can get like a metal grip that makes the camera a little bit bigger, but you're not going to get a battery grip that, like this grip will hold 2 batteries and a third in the camera. It has vertical controls, which I love to use sometimes. This is not the way I normally shoot in my studio because I don't necessarily need that, but it really makes for larger lenses. It makes for a much better balance, and yeah, that's a big reason why I think the 4 beats the 5. You can get a grip for it. Well, is that number 3? Yeah, I think so. All right, number 2, flippy screen. Now, before you freak out and our beloved Fuji flakes lose their collective minds, let me explain. So, yes, I'm like you. I'm in camp 3-way tilt screen. I'm not a huge fan of the flippy screen. So, for those of you who don't know, Fuji on the X-T5, they went back to a 3-way articulating screen, and they ditched the flippy screen, which everyone hates. However, there are some advantages to the flippy screen. Number 1, you can do this, which is you can flip the screen around and then it protects itself. So it closes up like that. And this is cool not just because the screen protects itself, but it also gives you a more old school appearance and an old school way of shooting if you prefer that, because then you're just using the viewfinder. So sometimes I just like to close that and use the EVF and just shoot in a more traditional manner. But the reality is that for those of you looking to upgrade, you might actually benefit more from a flippy screen. So who does this benefit? Well, first of all, and mainly, if you're doing vlogging, you want to film yourself. Say you want to do what I'm doing and start a YouTube channel. Well, it's easy to just do that. Put this on a tripod. You could see yourself. You can make sure everything is in focus and correct. And then you don't need to worry about not seeing it or getting an external monitor, say if you use this camera. The other thing, though, is really more for vlogging. Like sometimes I like to walk around my camera and do some footage, record my thoughts, and then add that to my video. So you can't really do that with this camera. You can sort of, but you're not going to see it until you're done. So it's a little harder with the X-T5, which of course that's not what it's for. It's photocentric, as we know. So you don't have to worry too much about that. But if you're considering these two cameras, the flippy screen might be a big advantage for you and the kind of shooting you're doing. All right, number 1, price. So if you're looking on the used market for either one of these cameras, you'll probably save somewhere or in the neighborhood of $400 on the price of the X-T4 over the 5. And I bet you could, if you're a smart shopper and you really do your homework, I bet you could even save more than that and find this at a really good price. But I just did a cursory review of some prices, and that's pretty much where they're at right now from what I saw. If you want to save money, go with the 4. You can get a 4, and you can use that $400 or so that you didn't spend on the 5, and you can get a really good prime lens, like a 35 millimeter 1.4 used. That's my favorite, one of my favorite lenses. But whatever lens you decide on, you can put that money into a lens. So that's basically it. This is a quick video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I think it's some food for thought for everyone on the 5 versus the 4. Now, there's tons of other reasons we can talk about of why the 5 is better, why the 4 might be better. And I'm not getting into all of that because then this will be a 5-hour video. But for those of you shopping around, this is just a little food for thought. I do indeed love both cameras. I think they're both great cameras. I am using the X-T5 mostly, but every now and then I take out the 4 and I do some work with that, and I've been enjoying that too for the reasons we discussed today. So here's wishing you an awesome day, everyone. Oh, wait, I forgot. Make sure that you check out my sponsors, specifically B&H Photo. They've been a great partner to the channel, so give them a look. Check out Mint Mobile. I switched to Mint Mobile maybe about a year ago, and I absolutely love it. And it cost me very little in comparison to what I was spending on my old wireless carrier. So it's been a great move for me. So I'll have this stuff linked in the description below. If you're buying any of this gear, check out B&H. I got my links down below. You can get Amazon links down there as well. And again, if you haven't subscribed, give me a little subscription, share the video, let me know what you think. I hope you liked it. And yeah, without further ado, here's wishing you an awesome day, everyone. Go out and take some great pictures, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.